I was pleasing other people, thinking it's gonna please me, it's gonna make me happy. It didn't do anything. You think like, oh, if I make this much more money, if I get this house and I get this car, everything's gonna be better. I'm gonna be happier. Nope.
The idea that business, you're just supposed to ascend this trajectory that's like you're just part of the common class, and now I'm a business owner, and so I'm gonna go straight to the top. Right? Unfortunately, I certainly didn't experience that. 2007, 2008 hit, and it went from like a busy market to crickets were the were the loudest thing in there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, welcome everybody to the Valor Vault podcast. This is our first episode. We're going to be doing many more episodes. This podcast is going to be about different types of subjects. We're in the mortgage and real estate industry, so we're going to be covering a lot about that. But we're going to be bringing people on from the community that we're in, and we're going to be interviewing them. So different people from our community, business owners, real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, law enforcement, firefighters, so first responders, military veterans, and also possibly active service members as well. So we're going to be going over a few things. And the cool thing about this first episode, this is actually episode like 1.5 because we recorded an episode last Friday. Today's Monday, and recorded everything. And what I forgot to do, I forgot to turn on the sound. Well, I had the sound on, I had it muted.
And it was fun too. You did a great job.
It was, thank you. So
Yeah.
you did a great job too, Frank.
Yeah, thanks.
But I screwed everything up. But luckily we found out, and we got that fixed. So now it's recording, it's hearing our voices. So it did get the camera shot, but it didn't get our voices. So anyone that's listening, pretty sure you can hear us nice and clear. And anyone watching, appreciate you watching. And if you'd like to, please like, subscribe, comment, and just be a part of what we're trying to do. We had a podcast that we did before, but now we're starting this one again. It's called the Valor Vault podcast, and we're going to be having different guests. We're going to be doing also Frank and I. He's my co-host. I'm Alex Ramirez. This is Frank Tomlinson. So we'll be going over a few things as we're getting this podcast moving along. But we don't want to make it just us talking. We're going to have different segments. There's going to be one segment. It's going to be called Let's Be Frank. And it's going to be Frank being honest. It's going to be brutally honest with somebody asking a question. So it could be a question that somebody asks us on our channel. Maybe they email us, or maybe something that came up, someone asked us from.
Yeah.
They just reach out to us. So we're not going to say who asked us the question, but then we're going to say it, and then Frank is going to be honest. He's going to be Frank. And then also, we'll be going over probably current events that are going on in our industry, maybe in the community when it comes to the real estate or affordability, a lot of different things to keep people, I guess, up to date with everything that's going on. But I want to officially introduce Frank Tomlinson, and he could tell all of you a little bit about himself. This way you get to know him a little bit, and then you get to know me a little bit. Then we're going to go into a couple other things and what this podcast is going to be about. And actually, what the podcast, this episode is going to be about, is going to be us announcing our new podcast, but also we're going to be going over a topic called authenticity, and that's been coming up a lot. But first, I want to bring up Frank, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I think that's good anyway. I mean, the topic is true, but we would kind of want to use that as a theme that runs throughout everything that we're going to talk about here on the podcast. And even what we talk about with guests too, so that we get a real feel for where they're at and how they interact in the community at large. Much like you, I've been in Southern California my whole life. So, I'm born and bred here and in this particular community, since the early 70s.
70s.
Not 1870s.
1870.
No, not 1870s.
There's a running joke here at the office, but yeah.
Yeah, just 1970s.
Yeah.
which sounds just as equally as far away.
Yeah. Well, I grew up here in the community too. I mean, Frank knows, but anyone listening or watching, I grew up in the community. I've been here since the mid 80s. And yeah, I've been here since, wife, kids, got the whole thing here. I try to move out, but then, I end up getting stuck here. But not a bad thing. It's a great community. And that's why I think it's going to be great that we're going to highlight people in this community. And, people outside of that too. But we're going to highlight people in this community, so this way they get to know where they're coming from. And also, people watching or listening get to know where our guests are coming from, but also um, they get to hear kind of just a different perspective of, I guess, what's going on in just in the community when it comes to
Yeah.
planning, building, the financial market here, the real estate. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but we'll be covering all of it. But it's, yeah, Frank, just I appreciate you, being the co-host. I know we were talking about this and building this out for a bit. It's taking a couple months to get this whole studio built out, and it was a team effort.
It's our new home.
It's our new home, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah. So I think we want to get into because it's authenticity. We were talking about authenticity. It's been coming up a lot recently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that we say that because we record a podcast on Friday and we can't post it, and we should just post it because that's being our authentic selves. But the reason why we can't post it is because you can't even hear our voices. You can hear very little, but you're just going to see us talking and it's going to be all muffled. You won't hear really anything. So we have to re-record, but being real, being our authentic selves, I screwed up and that happens.
Yeah.
That happens. And now I'm glad that happened with the first one because it's not going to happen again. Screw ups do happen.
Especially with a guest.
Yeah, especially with the guest. So it
Yeah.
won't happen with the guest. But let's get into that because that's something that that's coming up a lot, especially in social media. I think a lot of people that whoever you follow, influencers, I think a big thing is people now recognize that there's many people on social media that are not real, and I'm sure who's ever listening to this or watching this, who you follow on social media. You're like, this person, they're embellishing a little bit. They're not. This isn't their real life. It's not being legit. Well, if you're thinking that's probably true, maybe not 100% and 100% of the time, but it's probably true. And I think something that's going to be trending, and we've been talking, which sounds crazy, is people being their authentic selves on social media, showing the real deal stuff, the stuff that they screw up on, good days, bad days, everything in between. And I think that's something that's going to be, people are going to be, I guess, be more attracted to that because that is more, how do you say
They
that?
find themselves in it.
Yeah, exactly.
They find themselves
Mhm.
in your story when you're telling it. I mean, it's their own particular, all of the interactions that they have in their own life, their
Yeah.
relationships and things like that. But they're gonna get a sense of where they fit based on what you're saying. And
Yeah.
when we live outside of that, it becomes fake, and we've all experienced what that means. So, I mean, the fun thing about setting this up is just what brought us here in terms of being a part of Valor Home Finance, being able to come to Valor Vault is that it wasn't a straight line. I mean, for me, it was owning a business here in Ventura County.
Mhm.
Um, and we both experienced the same thing from a different perspective because I
Different
was doing,
industries
yeah,
too. Yeah,
yeah,
same
I
thing though.
was doing the retail side, owning a retail business. And I can remember back in 2008, 2007, 2008, but we opened with a blast 2005 and things were going great. It was like, man, this is exactly the way that the business is supposed to be. We talked a little bit about this on Friday.
Yeah.
The idea that business, you're just supposed to ascend this trajectory that's like you're just part of the common class and now I'm a business owner and so I'm going to go straight to the top, right?
Straight to the top always,
Yeah.
right?
But unfortunately, I certainly didn't experience that. And 2007, 2008 hit and it went from like a busy market to like crickets were the were the loudest thing in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you had to evaluate, reevaluate, see how you were going to do things. Um, you get a sense of your relationships for sure and where they're at, how you deal with other people, especially those that are part of your kind of intimate community
Mhm.
inside of your family, and how you communicate well. But you talked a little bit about that on Friday and what that meant for you, moving from you were actually already doing retail, but also you were doing home loans at the time, right?
Right. Yeah, I had a retail skate shop with my brother in the early 2000s, and we put that together, and just he and I, we loved the skating industry, and we were in Northridge. We were in the Northridge skate park. It was called Empire Skate Board Shop, right? So It was
I
really
wish I
cool.
could say I had been there.
It was cool. It was,
That would be
we had a
really
really cool logo. We had our own brand, our own merch, everything. And and then at the same time, like after doing that couple years, then we had also our mortgage office. My brother and I were running a mortgage office, so we were running two businesses at the same time. And but I remember having that business, and it was, man, it was really cool. But at the same time, and we talked about this the other days, I just thought like, oh man, like I'm it. I'm the shit. This is, you know, I'm just gonna go straight to the top. Got this skate shop, you know. We're getting known. We're gonna go straight to the top. It's I'm not gonna have any issues. And it kind of got to me a little bit. And then also, that got to me a little bit. But then when we had our mortgage office, and during that time when I got into the mortgage business was 2005. So if anyone knows the real estate and mortgage market back in 2005, well, that was a few years, a couple of years, 2.5 years or so before it crashed.
yeah.
And but at that time, I mean, anyone can get a loan, and if you worked hard enough, I mean, if you just worked basically, you're making a buttloads of money. And so I was making boatloads of money. I was 24 years old, was making a lot of money. Had our other business, skate shop, and so, but I was working a lot. I was working pretty much 7 days a week. But then since I was making a lot of money, I had the big house, everything, all the friends, and all that kind of stuff. I let a lot of things get to my head, and I thought I was a big deal, and I wasn't being my real self. And I know every time, like when I would hang out with people, I have parties at my house, people just want to come hang out and just be at the house and be with those people, because it was like my house was the place to be when we had Friday night or Saturday night. But yeah, I just thinking back, I remember even then I wasn't being my real self. I wasn't being authentic. I had the cars, all that stuff, and I felt I felt like an imposter.
Yeah.
I feel like an imposter. I'm like, I'm not being me. And I go home, not go home. I go back to my parents' house. I go to my parents' house and be with them, like have dinner or do whatever. And I feel like I was a different person. I'm like, oh,
So working 7 days a week, and you talk about that, the idea of being an imposter. I know something that I felt, but I want to ask you this.
hmm
Um, did it exhaust you? Did you feel tired? You're working 7 days a week and trying to keep this whole thing going.
that's a good question, man. I don't know if because I was young, so I don't feel like I was tired, like as in like physically tired, but mentally tired. I was drained because I feel like I was trying to please so many people.
Hmm.
I was trying to please people. I mean, I was pleasing other people, thinking it's gonna please me, it's gonna make me happy. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. Like at the time, I had my dream house. I had a couple cars. I had a
You
motorcycle.
had my dream house too, by
The
the way.
dream house, yeah.
Yeah,
This is
I
a
know.
house a lot of people
Yeah,
know about in our
yeah,
area.
I know that house.
A lot of people know this house, um, and even then, getting that house, I mean, it was cool to reach that goal, and I bought the house, but I was felt like I was pleasing other people because I got it for me because that was a goal. But then the whole thing really behind is I want to get it so I can have big parties. I can have people over my house and do all this. So I'll be, I'm the man. And that was so fake, man. It doesn't, the thing is like people think, oh, what's the thing? If I make six figures, oh man, everything's going to change. Everything's going to be better if I make six figures. Okay. Now you make six figures. Okay, cool. Did anything change? Maybe you got a few more things. You probably a little more debt. Are you happier? I don't know. And me, personal experience, no, I wasn't satisfied. I'm like, oh, I need to make $200,000. Okay, that, and then you go get 300. Then you go higher, right? Then you go to higher amounts, and I've never made like $1,000,000 or anything like that, but I made a lot of money. But just you think like, oh, if I make this much more money, if I get this house and I get this car, everything's gonna be better. I'm gonna be happier. Nope. I mean, I didn't feel happier. It didn't satisfy me.
Yeah.
It's I think for me, and I realize it's more of like simple. I just like simple. I don't like. I mean, I have a nice house, my wife and kids. We
Yeah,
have
you do.
space, but thanks.
Yeah. I like
And
coming over for parties.
yeah, I know. Yeah, we have little. We still have little get-togethers with friends and family, but you notice that when I have people over, it's only like what, 5 or 6 of us.
Yeah, it's not that
Small
many.
group. Before, I would have like 50, 60 people. I don't even know who like if we had 60, I don't even know who 50 of the people were, or maybe hardly. I don't even know if they knew me. But I was just trying to please everybody, whatever. But um, yeah, I just like to be like just simple now. Like when I think about it more, I'm like, man, I just like the small space. Even like when it comes to clothes, I just keep it really simple. I got like jeans, shoes, shirts. I don't have like anything crazy expensive. I don't wear watches. I mean, the only thing I do have is these hats, these melon hats.
Yeah.
I have these hats. I was never a hat guy. I started getting these and I like them. They're cool. So they're really comfortable.
Dude,
But
those hats are
they're
awesome.
legit, right?
They're well liked around the business here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
know
it's
that.
not a plug for melon, but just yeah, I'm wearing it, so
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I don't. I mean, I just realized this simple stuff just makes me happy, man. I mean, how about for you, Frank? I know we were talking about your business that you had, and
Hmm.
and you got into a business that didn't even know anything about, right?
No, it's super hard, man.
Yeah,
Super hard. So it was a retail market, and it was all fresh. So it started out with good intentions, which I think that probably a lot of things do. You start out
yeah,
with good intentions, but um, maybe you do it for some of the wrong reasons. So I know that for me, it was always that idea of ascending the ladder, accomplishing and having more things. But I originally got into having a fresh fish market because my brother, my older brother, who I always loved. I mean, we grew up together, but we hadn't seen each other for
hmm,
well over a decade. He lived up in Seattle, and that's what he did. And so we thought bringing it to Ventura County would be a good a good idea, and it was. I mean, it started out that way. Maybe if we hadn't hit the roadblocks that we did with the economy in 2008, maybe it
yeah,
would have been different. But that's not here or there. I mean, that happens in every business, right?
right.
So, yeah, I mean, going into that and then knowing that you can't just hang a T-shirt on a rack and it's going to last until somebody buys it. That doesn't work out with fresh meat in general. But
Especially that business. I mean, if you have to sell it,
yeah,
like my retail business when I had it, if I had like a shirt could be there, couple weeks, couple months or whatever. Um, but fresh fish, it's not fresh after how many days, so you have to sell it. So
not long.
you got to turn it quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not long,
Hmm.
and your place starts stinking pretty bad if it's not fresh
Start
too.
smelling like fish.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And so, listen, my brother was awesome at that. We got all kinds of people would give us all kinds of accolades because the
Hmm.
place was fresh. It didn't smell like fish.
Yeah.
It maybe, whether it was the ocean or whatever it happened to be, but it was good stuff. And people came in and we started building relationships. Um, and then you start other things where we started having wine nights and things like that.
Mm,
And some of the same stuff that you're speaking to.
yeah.
So then that gets popular and you have, quite a few people that'll come and join you. Then you're cooking food and you're serving wine, and all of a sudden your star starts to rise. You get more and more popular, but it became exhausting because, especially during that time, you're spinning a lot of plates and wearing a lot of hats as an owner.
Yeah.
You know that, and you're going through a tough time just trying to make it through. And then you close the doors and lock up, and you go home. And for me, I had to order everything almost every day.
Yeah.
So then I would go home and spend another hour working on the computer. What it just ended up doing was totally eroding my relationship with my wife
Hmm.
because I just spent all my time was invested in this business that I was trying to keep afloat.
Was there like a time where you just felt like it's or not time or maybe a period of time, like a moment or a period of time where maybe something happened or you're around certain people and then maybe you realize then or later on that you're like, man, I'm being I know you feel like you're being like an imposter. That's what I'm trying to ask. I guess you feel like you're being an imposter during a moment or like a period of time.
Oh, yes.
Hmm.
And I can name a couple. One was those nights that people looked at you because you were the owner of the shop, and unfortunately, I think that it becomes they want something from you, and you feel like I have to come through because right now this is such a hard time. I got to do everything myself.
When you feel wanted as like a business owner, especially like that, you're probably like, then you're like, you're trying
Oh
to do
yeah.
whatever you can, fulfill it to make them happy. And that's like, that's a big no.
Yeah, and then what happens? Because it starts tearing you further and further away from what your original intention was,
Hmm.
right? To build things for your family. And the more and more your star, so, quote unquote, rises, the more and more your time is monopolized.
Hmm.
And people are pulling at you to, and if you don't have boundaries around that, or you don't have a system in place, which is something that we've been really appreciative around here, to have
Big
other
time.
guys that do things that I'm not good at. Because there's things that I'm not good
You're
at.
good at, but it's one of those things. There's guys that are better.
Better at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, that looking back, and it doesn't happen fast. You would be well aware of this in
Hmm.
different times, whether it was that one or other times, but it happens slowly. I mean, the erosion happens almost imperceptibly in to some degree until you turn around and it's like I'm actually married to this business. I'm
Hmm.
not actually married to my wife anymore. And at some point I must have made the conscious decision that this is I'm willing to be married to this business
Hmm.
more than I'm willing to be more than
Yeah.
I want to be married to my wife, I should say, I guess, you know.
Yeah. You're talking about the fish market. Like, I mean, that's the thing with that where we're saying like the authenticity is like one thing is like for example like this like just we're having a regular talk, and we were talking about this last week is when we come to the office, and there's someone's always saying something, someone's always joking around, there's always we're just being real with ourselves, we're just being real with each other.
Mhm.
And I think that's so important, just be real with each other, be comfortable. Like for example, we're talking about business where I wore a suit to work for the mortgage business for I don't know for
Over a
15,
decade
yeah, more
probably,
than
yeah.
I mean, I've been doing it almost 19 years, so, yeah, I would say, well, 16 years because I haven't been wearing a suit for a while.
Mhm.
But I used to wear a suit every single day, a suit every single day. I put on my nice slacks, my shirt, my tie. I had probably about 60 different pairs of socks with different colors and designs, and I had about 70 different pairs of, not pairs, 70 different ties, and I would get ready, get the tie all fixed up, and I mean, look good. I mean, I mean, I'm not talking shit about somebody wearing a suit. That's fine. You can wear a suit, but this is me.
Mhm.
So if somebody is you wearing a suit, that's you wearing a suit. That's cool. But me wearing a suit, I wore for so long, and I always thought, hey, I wear a suit. I'm big and bad. I'm important. So when I go in the room, people are like, oh, who's that guy? He looks important. I was never comfortable wearing a suit ever. Maybe if I go to like a wedding or something, yeah, it's fine. But I was never comfortable wearing a suit. I just thought like I wear a suit that in my mind as a kid, I'm like, me wearing that makes me important. People want to know who I am, what I'm doing. But why do I even care about that? So for the last almost 3 years, I haven't worn a suit. I right now, whoever's watching, and I'm wearing jeans, a t-shirt, and a hat. And usually that's how I dress to work. I mean, one thing, most of my clients I don't see face to face, but I mean, if I'm going to go out to a meeting, then I'll comb my hair. I'll just comb my hair, of course, and get cleaned up, and I wear a polo shirt. But I'm not gonna I'm never sloppy. That's one thing my mom taught me when I was young. She's like, never go out being sloppy, even if you just gotta run the store real quick. She's like, no, make sure you look clean, because then she's basically setting me up like this is your brand. Your brand. If you go out looking sloppy, even when you're younger, if you're going out looking sloppy just to pick up some milk or pick up some eggs, so you need to look cleaned up because that is your brand. Because later on in the future, somebody's gonna they're gonna what they're gonna do, they're gonna put like being sloppy to your name.
Yeah.
You're gonna say,
So
"Oh, he's
shit, that
sloppy."
was my problem all these years.
Yeah, my mom taught me never that. But a Mexican mom, so they make sure they're strict. They make sure you're dialed in. She hit me in the back, pull up back my shoulder, so always standing up straight. But um, I was never comfortable wearing a suit. I always just want to be, casual, and that's me. I'm casual. So me being casual, how I dress, and when I do Zoom calls, I did a consultation for 2 clients on Friday, and with Zoom, I was wearing t-shirt, jeans, and a hat, and they look past that. They're fine. They look because I have the knowledge. I understand what I'm doing. Me wearing a suit doesn't make me better or smarter. I'm actually more comfortable the way I am, and I can actually perform better. But
And you
more
know
if I'm
what?
being me.
Do you attract people that are even in business or wherever it happens to be, that because you're just being you, even the way that you dress and you show up that way, do you attract people that you know that you should be connected with? Um, I think that you've told me a time or two of people that have hated on you just because you're not dressed to the nines,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I've had
And you're
clients
supposed to be a mortgage broker and dressed up tight, right?
I've had clients that messaged me. They said, "Hey, wearing a hat in your video isn't professional." These are clients I've done loans for a couple times, and I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." If they think I don't know what is a mortgage broker supposed to, or real estate professional supposed to dress like. Maybe years ago, I mean, years ago in any profession, it was suit and tie, whatever profession it was. I mean, other than like a I don't know, a firefighter or like a, first responder or something,
Yeah.
or police officer. But I mean, even they have uniforms. They have uniforms, but they're dialed in. But um, I think this is old school thinking. People think, oh, you have to wear a suit and whatever in our profession. But if you pay attention now, most people, not most, but many people, they dress pretty casual, not sloppy. I'm saying don't be sloppy. Don't wear freaking pajamas. Like be clean, be clean. Yeah. So
And thank you for pointing out that you're wearing pants.
yeah, I'm wearing jeans. I'm wearing jeans. Yeah. But
Puts my mind at ease.
yeah, right.
Although I can't see that you are wearing jeans.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, people they hated on and they said they didn't like that. That's only some. There's 2 people that said that out of the I don't know how many people know it doesn't bother anybody because they reach out, they ask me a question, I have the answer. The suit doesn't make me smarter or better or
Doesn't
being
make
able
you
to
push a calculator any more accurately.
no, not at all. So, but again, if someone wants to dress like that, that's fine. I mean that's cool. But
But it goes to the point that you've been making about so whatever businesses that you worked for, the perception is that you have to dress this way to be proficient at what you're doing.
yeah,
And the reality is, just by what you're saying, those 2 things don't equate. They're trying to make you hold up an image,
hmm,
right, to whoever walks in the door, and it doesn't mean that you're gonna do the job any better.
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some places where you have to dress professionally, whatever it is, but that is at a company. I'm not. Yeah, we have a company, but we're self-employed. So we have a company, but we work for ourselves. So I can really dress how I want, and also the the people. I guess the people my clientele I'm trying to attract. It's military, first responders, not just them because we work with other clients as well. But that's our main focus. It's I think I want to be able to I guess, relate to them.
Yeah.
And it's not me trying, hey, I'm trying to relate to you. So I'm gonna be wearing t-shirt and jeans. No, because just like them, they wear t-shirt and jeans. I mean, I wear the same thing, they wear the same thing. I mean, I feel like I'm being me. I'm being my authentic self. This is me. This is like my true self. Like this is um it said doesn't make me any smarter if I wear a suit, but I feel like it just resonates more like, hey, I'm being real and I want people to be comfortable.
Mhm.
Like I've sat and had so many meetings with clients. I'm across the desk. I'm wearing a suit, and they're casual, and that's fine. Maybe they feel more comfortable with me wearing a suit on the other side. But I mean, just so people know if they're listening or watching, you don't doesn't change.
No, it makes me think of and this bummed me out. I mean, I thought of this while you're talking was, one of the favorite things that we have about the crew that we have here at Valor is, that Caleb, who just separated as an Army Ranger, came down and joined our team, right?
Yeah,
Um, but if we had been doing the things that we were doing, which was social media, he saw us on social media,
yeah,
was that there was something that he saw. We were making him laugh and it was funny, but we were
Mhm.
doing home loans and all of that connected. And so he moved from Washington to California, moved his family from Washington to
Mhm.
California. And after he left the army, he came and joined our team. But
Yeah.
if we had been trying to live some other persona that was sparkly and crisp and untouched, he may not have had that same perception of us,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, we could have attracted somebody else, but then they would have came, then they would have seen, that I mean, that's not us. So yeah, exactly. We're gonna attract the people that I guess like a good example, like Caleb, not only is he, we attracted him, he moved down here, we work together, we're business partners now.
Yeah.
Also we're great friends. We're great
Right.
friends. Like I mean, it's just a good match. Those are the kind of people I wanna work with. Those are the kind of clients I wanna have as clients. These are the kind of business partners I wanna have everything. Um, I mean, there's times where I remember in the past where I had, I guess, referral partners I work with, and we just didn't really, like, connect, or we were just completely different people, and that's fine. You don't have to be the same exact person, but for me, I'm like, if I can't relate to them, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to be able to work with them. And when they reach out to me at 10 o'clock at night, how am I gonna work with this person? Where if they call me, I'm gonna if I roll my eyes, I'm like, oh no, that's
Oh
not
yeah.
good. That's not a good thing. I mean, there's a lot of business partners or referral partners that if they call me on a Saturday or Sunday or whatever late at night, I'll call them. Hey, what's up? I want to talk to them.
Yep.
Those are the kind of people I want to work with.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You want to have their back, right?
Yep.
And that's, I mean, I think of last Saturday, we both ended up here and
Yeah.
I showed up and didn't even know Alex was going to come here. I thought I was just going to be doing work for 4 hours and you came back. We probably ended up talking for 1 or 2 hours of the time that we were here.
Oh yeah.
We were just catching up. We were rapping
Yep.
and we work here every day together.
Yeah.
Same thing last night. You were on the text thread inviting us all out to the bar,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, we had family in from Texas, so I don't drink often, but we have family from Texas, just so people listening.
Yeah. But you
And yeah,
included us
I
in it.
know we're family. That's the thing. I invite everybody. I mean, I still like to have a good time, invite people. You're saying, like, before in the past I had these big parties, and that was so much more different. Like now, like I was saying, I like to be simple. I have a handful of friends, a handful of people that I'm close with, and those are the people. I mean, Frank, you've seen like pretty much every single one of my close friends and a few times at my house, and it's always just a super tiny group.
Yeah.
And that's I don't want, I just got to keep it simple like that. And those are my real friends. They know all the good stuff about me, the bad stuff. There's no bad stuff about me. All the bad stuff about me. I mean, with you too. I mean, Frank, I mean, one thing we talked about, we do a mastermind call every other week, and from loan officers, real estate professionals, content creators from, they're from here to
Mhm.
Texas, different states and all over California. And one thing I brought up was Frank being one thing. Frank is super comfortable with himself. He knows who he is. And if you know Frank, you'd understand. So when Frank walks in a room, he's like a magnet. People just go to Frank. It's just that's how he is. And it's not like he's trying to do this. It's just he's just the guy that people are very attracted to because he's a good person. I think it's not just what it is, it's because you know who you are, so people realize that. So if you've ever been, like, I'm asking anyone listening, if you ever been in, like, you go to an event or you go to a room and there's a person that's like, man, this guy is just everyone really likes this guy. He's a very attractive person. I mean, not saying looks, but like whether if it's looks, it's fine. But like attractive person, as in
Oh,
like, hey,
thanks, Alex.
I want to, yeah, hey, Frank's a good looking guy, but
The old
I
guy.
just want to talk to this person. Um, and when you talk to this person, like, oh man, this is a great guy. That's Frank. He's the guy when you go to an event or whatever it is, a room, everyone's attracted to him because he's real. And that's one thing we're talking about on our mastermind calls. Like he's really comfortable with himself. And when you're really comfortable with yourself, and this is something I've talked to coaches about, social media. There's a lot of guys out there that talk about this. When you're really comfortable with yourself, sky's the limit because nothing's going to stop you. Because no matter what anyone says or does, you know who you are. You know who you are, and it just really sky's the limit for you.
I think that speaks to what we have going. I think that this would be true for everybody, and I think it's important for everybody to understand this. The people that there's you have to say no to some people that you're
Yeah.
connecting up, whether it's on your team, your crew, work, or friends. That when you find the people that see you for you, and you're able to open up and just be authentically who you are. I don't need
Mhm.
to dress a certain way. I don't need to talk a certain way. And when you show up here and you do that, I mean, or you show up anywhere. I mean, it's really made me enjoy. One of the guys, Bill, over at one of the meetings I had the other day, he said, until you have a group of friends, and until you get to be about 25, and from 25 on, your group of friends, your community starts to shrink and shrink and shrink. Um, and I did experience that until probably I learned how to just be me. And
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna play games with anybody anymore, and you learn how to say no. You don't necessarily have to say it verbally to people, but you know
Yeah.
how to not associate with particular people and draw closer
Your
to other
actions.
people
Yeah.
through your actions. And man, I looked around, and all of a sudden the people that I'm connecting with, it's just growing and growing and growing. And so now there's so many that people that I genuinely care about, you know?
Anyone listen, it's wild. I don't think Frank is trying to get connected with all these people. They just gravitate towards you. And not saying they're all your friends, but these are acquaintances. A lot of people have a lot. People get things. A lot of people get confused with friends and acquaintances,
Yeah.
right? So an acquaintance, if you know what that is, like just somebody you kind of just know a little bit. A, a friend, a real friend, is somebody you hang out with, regularly, or you talk to on a regular basis. You don't have to hang out with them, but talk to on a regular basis. Then they know you. I feel like a real friend, they know a lot about you, good or bad or whatever, and the other way around too. But like you have a lot of acquaintances, but these are business connections,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean it's crazy the amount of people.
That's
Yeah.
what makes me excited about just sitting down here with you,
Hmm.
because I feel like I mean, I've worked with you for a couple of years, but
Yeah.
I think that this will not only be informative for everybody else, or maybe they'll catch a sense of who they truly wanna be or can be, um, but I think that it's just getting to work together will we'll get to know each other in a way that
Hmm.
will make us really good at interviewing people, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it'll make fucking dude, it'll make it fun,
Yeah.
because I wanna ask those questions of other people too. I don't want them to give me the fake polished up version of themselves.
No, I know with us because we've been on camera more. Frank, he's got some videos that have gone viral, like on TikTok, a million plus views and all that kind of stuff. So Frank is like the official dad on TikTok. But the one thing, we've been on camera a lot. You and I have been on camera a lot, whether it's short form content, whether podcasts or anything, YouTube, whatever. But I think we're more comfortable on camera, and still, it's every day you're working on it. But there's people who interview; maybe they haven't been on camera. So, but one thing that we're gonna ask people: just be authentic, be real. It's okay. And I know it might be a little challenging, but we're gonna ask some questions, so this way, whoever's listening is gonna be able to learn something. You'll be able to learn something, just something new. Whether if it's about, we said, like finances, it could be about, yeah, just about personal development. I mean, that's authenticity. This is personal development type stuff. Not saying we're like Tony Robbins or anything like that, but this is the kind of stuff people need to be aware of. And it took me a long time to be aware of this kind of stuff. But it's yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool having a lot of these guests on here and asking them these questions, because we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be reaching out to people in the community, and all different walks of life.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be fun. We have some pretty cool guests lined up, and I'm really excited. And anyone that would want to be a part of this, I guess, this podcast, then reach out to us. Reach out to us, and put a comment and see, or send us an email. We'll have it in the profile, and then we can collaborate a little bit and see what we could put together.
Yeah, anybody around the Ventura County area
Yeah.
in California, because we do want to highlight people in the community and even what's close to us. I think a
Mhm.
lot of times we miss that.
Yeah.
And it's not just famous people. I mean, I think that there probably are some famous people around here, but
Yeah.
even just people that you would say, "Wow, I didn't realize I had that resource so close to me." Those
Yeah.
types of things, that it would be cool. You can reach out over the channel or however you get in touch with us, phone call, and yeah, I would love to have those kinds of conversations and connections. That would be fun.
Yeah, we'll get better and better as these podcasts go. So you know how they usually say you look at your first podcast and you look at the all the way whatever your 50th episode or 100th episode and see how it goes. It improves every single time.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, this podcast we're gonna have great people on here, and like I said, we already have people lined up, and we'll be doing segments. So it's gonna be we don't want it to. It's not always gonna be how Frank and I are doing this. We're gonna have episodes like this, but then also we're gonna have segments where it's gonna, like I said, we're gonna be Let's Be Frank. We're gonna be interviewing people. So we want to do so it changes up because we know we're not Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan can talk for like 3 hours, which I listen to Joe Rogan. So I mean, he has a lot of cool guests on there. Not all his episodes, but I listen to it and they can just talk forever. But this, I want to make sure it's entertaining, but at the same time that you learn something. We'll be talking to, like I said, veterans, talking about veteran disability benefits, getting into that and how veterans that we know that are really close, even the one here at our office, Army Ranger. By the way, Army Ranger. So I've learned this. So he's a tab and scroll. So he's a real deal Army Ranger. So
Real deal.
yep. And he'll be coming on. So everybody with us. So it's going to be me. So it's gonna be me as the host, Frank as a co-host. We may occasionally have like a surprise co-host, but then we're gonna be bring Brian and Dean and Caleb in. We're gonna be bringing everybody in, so this way, anyone listening or watching get to know them. And then we're gonna be switching it up a little bit here, but yeah, we're like I said, we're gonna be going into like that, going in, getting into different things with like loans, VA disability benefits, how to how to help you build a real estate portfolio. We won't be going into details because that's a long podcast, but little tips, tricks, hacks, certain things. So
We
because we
even had
are
have a building inspector
yeah,
that
we're
said
gonna
that he
have a
would come
building
on.
inspector, also a planning
Yeah, that's
commissioner.
right.
Yep. So we have people lined up where it's gonna be something you could learn when you're listening. So yeah. So I think we'll just cut it off right here. And we appreciate everybody listening and watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. If you have any suggestions or any questions you want Frank to be on as Be Frank with you, go ahead and just send us a message or we'll go ahead and put in the comment, and then we'll make sure we'll get to it in one of our episodes. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back. See you guys soon.
Thank you, Alex.
Well, thank you, Frank.
Episode 1.5
One
in
and a
the
half.
bag.
There we go. Done.